Welcome to Being Confident from Within with Natalie Potts, the podcast that shares what it really takes to be confident. I'm passionate about helping people grow businesses with confidence. Does it seem like everyone around you is naturally confident and sure of themselves? Well, the chances are they have self-doubts just like you. I'm in conversations with inspiring individuals to share what confidence means to them and to help you find ways to believe in yourself and create confidence at any time. Jack, thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be a great conversation, I know, because I'm loving your energy so far, which is great. Let's kick off with sharing all about yourself and anything you want to share with us. I'm not going to ask a question, just share about yourself.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. It's nice to be here. My name is Jack Revell. I am a bit of a jack of all trades and hopefully a master of all of them. But I'm a life coach. I've been doing this for about 5 years. Started in the space purely because I had some coaching myself and was like, this is awesome. Didn't realize there was such a world of self-development that you could kind of get stuck into, and kind of just followed a bit of a passion and ended up doing it myself for other people, which is great. I've also been modeling for 16, 17 years almost, and that's kept me in some interesting jobs and some interesting places all over the world. It's allowed me to travel and do some really cool things. And then I also work in the fitness space. I teach spin a couple of times a week and do some other fitness classes as well. So that's me. Suppose an interesting thing about me that I've done recently, I've just completed my 3rd Ironman, which is like a big tick box in the sort of both the mental headspace as well as also the physical space, because I was like, I just wanted to push myself outside my comfort zone. But I finally did it after 3 years worth of delays and postponements because of COVID, etc. So got it done, got the medal, got the photos, and it's one of those weird feelings of being like, I've now done that. It's like push that to one side. Cool. My foundations have been grown as a result. And so, I'm kind of still reeling off the back of that one, which is really exciting.
I did see, actually. It's amazing. And I know somebody, because I love my fitness too. And I know somebody that did the Ironman and I was hearing about it and I was like, whoa, I was like, Tough Mudder was enough for me. I couldn't do any more challenges. That's phenomenal. I guess we'll come on to the point about out of your comfort zone, because I think it's really interesting to why you need to do that in fitness as well. But starting off with, what does confidence mean to Jack?
It's a good question. Confidence is I love this quote, and I can't remember who I heard it from, but confidence is not the requirement, it's the result.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what that means is that people think you need to be confident in order to be able to do things, but it's actually not. You gain confidence from doing the things that you want to do. So it's almost like you need to have the courage to do it, and then the confidence comes as a result. So I feel like confidence for me is like a muscle that you build. It's a part of your personality. It's a part of your attributes that allows you to be able to not think so much about what could happen and just do it instead. It's kind of that toy up between the sort of scarcity and abundance mindset that you get where people will get nervous or excited, the same feeling you get in that stomach when you're going up on stage talking in front of 100 people. That butterfly you get in your stomach could actually be, oh, I'm really nervous here, or I'm excited to do so. And the difference between that is, in my opinion, is the confidence that you get from, just doing it over and over again, practicing, being in the situations where you can see yourself, coming out of the other side and now being outside your comfort zone. But confidence to me is a really important skill. And I think that it has so much weight in it. And you are able to, I think, put yourself in more positions to grow as a human with the more confidence you have in multiple places in life.
It's interesting, the part about the question I've tended to ask as well then is, in what areas do you want to build more confidence? I guess I'm going to build on that of yourself though, is can you relate that to where you've spoken a couple of times there about being out of your comfort zone and that feeling, whether it's going on stage, going into Ironman, and that in between is confidence? Are they relatable?
Yeah, I think so. I know, to answer the first question, I suppose, in terms of where would I want to build more confidence in my life, it's where I feel like imposter syndrome creeping in.
Right.
So in a lot of respects, I'll try anything. And I think that I have the confidence to try anything. But there's also a part of me that does have that imposter syndrome kind of kick in or creep in. So put me in a room of people, I will talk to anyone happily about anything. But depending on the type of people you put me with, I may feel more out of my comfort zone than I do with others. Like put me in a room full of gym people, I feel fine. put me in a bunch of in a corporate environment with some guys in some suits, I may not feel as confident, right? But I'll sort of still work that muscle of confidence to try and make myself feel more comfortable, So it's how the relationship between putting yourself outside your comfort zone and having the confidence to do so is, I think that the more you put yourself outside your comfort zone, the more you build that confidence muscle, and I think that the more you do that, the more you realize what you're capable of as a person, and what your skills and attributes actually, can develop you as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like that part then of having to areas where you kind of get that tummy feeling and that out of your comfort zone, what is it that, if people want to do that, they get out of their comfort zone, but they don't feel the confidence, what is it that they can do to feel more confident in that scenario?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, well, first of all, you've got to ask yourself why you're doing it, right? So if you're thinking, let's take the standing up on stage example.
Yeah.
You've got to ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Like, am I doing this to further my career? Am I doing this to literally just put myself outside my comfort zone? Is it because I'm wanting to test, whether I can or can't do something? Asking yourself and knowing why you're doing it is really important, because then that takes away any sort of self-doubt that you may not be doing it for the right reasons. If you have a reason to do something, then there's always, you've got to put yourself through it to see it through. But in terms of like the practical side of things, I think there's a lot to be said for preparation. So if you're doing a speech, or if you're doing a standing up on stage, it's knowing your lines, it's rehearsing something, it's feeling the best in whatever you're wearing, it's maybe going up on that stage before anyone arrives to get familiar with the podium and the lights and where everything is. It's that preparation kind of piece there. The second thing is asking for advice. One of the things I struggled with mostly when I started coaching, for example, was not thinking that I was actually good enough to do it, right? Which I'm sure anyone listening to this and other coaches would agree that one of the biggest challenges clients find is they don't think they're good enough to do what they want to do. And we feel it as well as coaches, right? But the thing that helped me the most was going to other people who were 3, 4, 5 years ahead of me and going, I want to do this, and you look like you've done it. Can you help me with some advice on how to get over it? And most of the advice is just get it done, do it, try it, fail fast, that kind of stuff, because you then know that you're not the only one that's going to feel that way. Someone else has been in that position before, and it's not unnatural for you to feel scared, nervous, excited in a position of almost, not knowing what's going to happen next. And the more you put yourself in those positions, the better you feel about them, the less, I suppose, less room for error there is, because you've got that confidence within to go, well, everyone else has felt this and everyone else has gone through it, so what's the worst that can happen? And as you know, and I think a lot of people are tending to find out these days, there's no such thing as failure, right? There's only feedback. You will only learn from what you do, not from what you don't do. So I've always been a big advocate for, when I help clients, for example, I'll say to them, you know what, just do it, and what happens will happen. And if it goes wrong, we can discuss it. If it goes right, we can celebrate it. Full stop, just crack on. Like, what's stopping you from actually doing it? And it's normally their own selves or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think that on the practical side of things, it's again, it's like, a lot of people also suffer from perfectionism or paralysis by analysis, as I think as it goes, which is, there's, done is better than perfect, right? Perfect is such a frustrating word, because it doesn't really mean anything. It's sort of almost like a paradox, because you can't make things perfect. What is perfect? It's a what's the word? It's a subjective word. So but you can categorically say something is done, right? That's a finite, there's a measure to that, right? So if I was to say to you, I'm going to get this speech done in front of 100 people, I know that it's done when the speech is finished at the end of the 20 minutes I've got on stage. But how do I know if it's perfect or not? It could be perfect to me, but it might not be perfect to the 100 people watching. So there's a subjectiveness to it. So I always say to people, just do it and see how you feel. And if you hate it and it didn't go very well at all, then we can reassess and work out how to maybe do it again better next time. But at least you know what you didn't know before the second time.
Yeah. There's loads of them, that.
Sorry, I went off a bit of a tangent there. I get a bit waffly. So
no, it's not waffly. It's grand, and it's great to hear the same things. I've been taking notes. It's great hearing the same things coming through from different people, which, like I said, has just given me this real clarity. I feel like at the end of this month, I'll be able to go, confidence is this.
Yeah.
I love the part about the prep as well. And that related recently because I'm actually going to be working in schools from September onwards, doing workshops around kind of marginal gains and kids' science of learning and everything. And I had to do a bit of prep recently and then do it the CEO and get signed off and stuff. And I was nervous, really. And I don't get really nervous. I'm like, yeah, I'll go with the flow. Drama was always just impro, go out there, do it. And I was really nervous and I had to take a step back. I was like, why am I so nervous about this? And one, I wanted to do well, but two, I was just like, I don't know it well enough. I was like, I haven't prepped enough. I've not got the knowledge of what I look at as a script in a way that I feel I need to have it to feel able to go and do it right now. And then I was like, so I've got to get over the fact that yes, it can be boring learning things, but when it's you know it inside out and stuff, it's a completely different ball game. I've just got to do sometimes the horrible part. We don't face into enough of you got to do the bits that are boring and get on with it and get better at mastering that craft and things until it becomes natural. So yeah, that really resonated there. And then the point around, asking for advice. Somebody shares today who I mentored about, he doesn't feel good enough. And it is one of those, it's a limiting belief. And there is a bit like sometimes as a coach I sit and say, I don't know what to say, but like you said, just do it, just go for it. Because exactly like you say, I put bits out and grammar's wrong and stuff like that. And if people challenge me, I'm like, yeah, but you're not doing what you need to do. You're actually procrastinating everything. Just go and do it.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for the feedback. But you're absolutely right with all of that. Who has, this may be a question that you not necessarily think of someone straight away, but if there is someone out there you think has like confidence of how you would like to have it or would have liked to have been confident when you were younger, who would that person be? What were their qualities as such with that?
That's a good question. I think for me, confidence in like I suppose aspiring to be like someone who is confident is one word for me. It's like effortless. I have friends who I admire for the effortlessness of their way they hold themselves, they talk to people, they they dress themselves, that sort of thing. And then I've got people that I follow on Instagram who are, gurus or whatever in their own right, whether they're writers or authors or they're other coaches or fitness people, whatever. But I think that there is this fine line between doing what they do really well, but in a way that doesn't feel like they're doing it. Like they're putting in almost zero effort. They're just good at it. It's that flow kind of feeling. And I suppose like if I look at it from a point of view of the things that I do in my life that I don't realize that I'm doing in a flowing state, and only when someone points it out to me later that it was like, so like whenever I do a modeling gig, for example, I'll be on set for 12 hours on my feet, having thousands of photos taken in various different outfits in various different places and positions. And my brain is now programmed to know exactly what position to look good in and how to make the clothes look good or all the stuff that goes on with production, like with lighting and cameras and all the technical jargon. It's just second nature. So a shoot for me is quite flowy and it just gets, and I speak to people about it all the time and they're like, but how, it must be so nerve-wracking. You must be like constantly working out what to do and how to do it. And I'm like, it just comes. It's just like a confidence thing, Even another example is my spinning, right? When I first started spinning, I'd never taught a class before. I did a training academy, but it wasn't like I was a spin instructor before, and I've just started doing it again. And I like cycling, but it's different when you're up on the bike and you're teaching as well as cycling. And I remember the first class I ever did, I was so nervous because I just didn't know whether I was doing it right or wrong or whatever. But what you do after a period of time is you realize that people come to your class to enjoy you enjoying the class almost, as long as you're still teaching them something and taking them through a good sweat, basically. They love it when you have a little bit of chat in between, but this song, love that. When I actually heard this when I was at a party in 2016, and it went off, and there was like some fireworks outside. I remember it because the drop was this, and they get excited through your excitement, and that I think is confidence. It's almost like this effortless of I'm just going to ride, and I'm going to teach you what I've written today, and just enjoy it for what it is, But in terms of like authors that I like, I really enjoy people like Malcolm Gladwell and James Clear and like all those sorts of books. I enjoy how confident they are in what they believe is the way to do things. Another one is Seth Godin. He's written so many books where, other people have contradicted his ideas, He doesn't care. He's just like, well, these are my ideas. It's an opinion. It's just like, well, I do it this way, you do it that way. There's no right or wrong here. And I think that's like, it takes a lot of confidence, a lot of self-belief to be able to do that. And basically hang your hat on the stand that of where you stand, like not like completely like flitting between the two. I think when people start to go back or contradict themselves on things they said once just because it's now not cool or not the right way to do things, I just think, just stick to what you know, or stick to what like you said you did before, because that in itself shows confidence in that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful way of putting it, that the confidence is effortlessness, and also it's the energy state, isn't it? And that's what attracts people. I'm huge on energy of people, and being aligned to that. I'm interested to know how being a model what the journey's been through with confidence around kind of the amount of rejection you must get. And I know it's something that Adam, the coach we have between us, Adam Hume, who's amazing, but he said about this of yourself, that imagine that like all the time being told no just for basically how you look, which is reality, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
How have you found that over time, and how that's knocked your confidence, if I were to make an assumption?
No, it's a really interesting question, because paradoxically, being in the space, obviously most people from the outside looking in are like, oh my god, it's a really cutthroat industry, and it is really cutthroat, but not in a way that makes you feel any less kind of, how do I say this, adequate to do it. So for example, like in any 1 week I may get 10 auditions, for example, of which I now, like, because of COVID, we send in videos and casting calls and stuff like that. I may not hear back from any of them. I send them out, don't even get a yes or a no. It's just, you just don't hear, right? So the ones you do get, you hear a yes from. Or when you used to go to like castings in person, I've over the years been to a few where they'll rock up and they won't even look at my book. They're just like, oh, no, you're not right. Sorry. And it's because it's been what they call like an open casting or a casting call, where they'll just message everyone that's available and go along. And it might just because I've got the wrong color hair, or I'm not tall enough, or I'm not short enough, or I'm not, I haven't got the right waist size, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, the industry is not about you. It's about the product that you're marketing. So it's not there's obviously some different campaigns where it is about you, but normally that's kind of when you get to like the top echelons and you're booked because of who you are rather than the product that you're trying to market. So for example, this week I did a big job for Gillette, right? I did a Gillette commercial, which was amazing, right? And I said to them, I've cast them 10 years. They've said no to me every single year for the last 10 years. So as you can imagine, getting another one through, I sort of rolled my eyes a little bit, going like, oh, here we go again. This is just going to be another formality of me sending in a video that's never going to get looked at. But I booked the job. And I asked them, what was it this time that made you book me? And they said, oh, I don't know, you just had the right look for us this time around. I was like, great. Their marketing's changed. They're whatever. And I look like the guy they want to put on their packaging now. So it's like, whatever. So, I get rejected often, but I don't take it to heart because I know that I can't do anything about it. Weirdly, if I was acting or presenting, I'd feel more rejected if I got a no, because I know that it's more based on, it's obviously based on how you look kind of, but it's also based on how you perform. And a performance can get better, like you can work harder on your lines, you can work harder on your emotions. Well, I can't work harder on the way I look. Like, it's just the way I look, right? And yes, okay, maybe I could get a different haircut, or I could lose some weight, put on some weight, build some muscle, whatever, like the change, but ultimately it's still me. Do you know what I mean? So I don't get too frustrated with it. And I think it's been the reason why I've worked for as long as I have, because the shelf life on modeling can be quite short. A lot of people get frustrated with the fact that you work for like 6 months and then don't hear from someone for 2, and then you're back on for another 3 months, and it's quite sporadic. But I don't mind it. It's worked really well with my lifestyle for all these years. But in terms of like the rejection piece, I actually find it quite sort of almost like resilience building, and I find it just like, yeah, cool, whatever. I wasn't right for the job. Simple as that, and I always think to myself, there'll be another one that comes along. I can say this in hindsight now, though, because I've done it for so many years. The first year or two of me doing it, I used to get so caught up and hung up on the fact that I didn't get jobs. I used to analyze it so much and be like, what haven't I done? Am I not the right size? And that's what fuels this kind of sad but true kind of part of the industry where guys and girls tend to go really skinny, or they train themselves to an oblivion because they just want to look and be booked for the part. But actually 9 times out of 10, when you work with people and I ask them what is it that made you book me? And they're like, it was your personality. It was the energy and the vibe that you brought to the room. We've booked, we normally when you rock up, there'll be like 50 other people that look kind of like you. They're about the same height, same sort of color hair, similar build. So you're like, okay, we're basically all fairly carbon copies of each other. It's just about what you bring to the table. And it's that expression of like people by people, right? So if I rock up to the casting and I give them a bit of me rather than just where I look, that's going to probably sell them over the edge than necessarily the just because I didn't look or whatever the part, because they've already got me there because my looks, because they've seen a picture. So you see what I mean? So it's I've just tended to rely on the fact that I bring the energy, I bring the vibe, I bring me to the table. And then if someone likes it, great. If not, then they're lost.
Yeah, no, that's great. Who has been your best mentor and why?
Gosh, good question. Who's been my best mentor? I haven't got anyone that comes to mind specifically for like, and I'm thinking more business and stuff, but I think it's not true. My mum's been probably my best mentor, because she's been the only person in my life who has always let me make the mistakes that I've made and learn from them, rather than telling me not to do them before they've happened. Yeah. But also she's always been there for when I do want to just talk about anything. She never probes me on stuff that I want to do, or like, questions me on it. She just lets me come to her when I need to about anything. And as much as she supports me, I also support her in lots of things. And we're very similar, right? We're both quite entrepreneurial minded and sort of quite just similar outlooks to life. But she's definitely been someone who has helped me become the person I am today, for sure, like in more ways than I think I realize. And I don't think she even knows that she's done that, but she has. So if you're listening, Mum, thanks.
I love that. There's many people have spoken about it, their parents, and definitely as an influence position as well. And I was talking about my mum the other week, actually. And it's funny, where I was on Adam's podcast back in January, Mum listened to that and she rang me up and she's like, I took notes. And I was like, notes? I was like, notes on what? And she was like, stuff I've got to do around confidence. And I was like, wow. I was like, I need my mum on this as an episode, bless her.
Definitely.
It'd be interesting to talk about. But yeah, look, thank you so much for that. There is so many shares that are wonderful, thought-provoking and insightful. So I really value your time. Thank you. How can people connect with you?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I love this sort of topic of conversation. People can find me, probably the best places on Instagram. It's just at Jack W Revell. You can find me there, and I'm usually hanging out and talking to camera a bit too much during the day and sharing silly, stupid things that are going on throughout my day. So you can catch up on those, or on LinkedIn, a little bit more professional. But yeah, it's on both those platforms.
Very different platforms. But yeah, and I'll watch out for Gillette, yeah?
January it's coming out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, literally it would be I look about 12, so you won't miss it. When I clean shave, it's just like a completely different person.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Being Confident from Within. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it inspired you in trusting no matter what happens in any particular situation, you'll be able to handle it and learn from the outcome. I really love hearing from you, so please leave a review and let me know which part of the episode resonated with you the most. Have an amazing day.